Hello everyone and welcome to a small luxury SUV with Scandinavian design and purposeful functioning, which is the 2025 Volvo XC60 plug-in hybrid. So this new XC60 is offered in 4 different trims: Core, Plus, Ultra and the Polestar. And the particular variant that I'm reviewing is the XC60 Ultra plug-in hybrid. And for the 2025 model, now there is a plug-in hybrid option that is available, that comes with a battery pack and also 2 electric motors, one in the front and one in the back. So continuing with the Ultra model of this XC60, so the styling itself hasn't changed a lot in terms of its appearance. It's still very elegant and classy looking Volvo-ish design only. And here in the front there is this glossy black grille with the Volvo badging on this, and then on the Polestar variant there is a Polestar badge also. And also on this Ultra variant there is a lot of optional extras. For example, there is the adaptive air suspensions and also the Polestar Engineered package. So all of that I'm going to be explaining you all as and when we come across. Then there is more glossy plastic at the bottom and also on either side. And the thing is, this side of the grille is packed, but on this side it's open, and if you look inside there is also a fan that's been provided. And when we come to these headlights, so these are the full set of LED headlights. There are also the famous Thor's hammerhead DRLs, and they are the LED DRLs, and they also convert into the turn signals. And the main headlight cluster is also the dynamic, so it follows your steering input, and it's visually like moving so much all the time that you can actually see it functioning. And even with the lightest of steering input, it will change the direction also. And underneath the hood sits a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged as well as supercharged engine, along with 2 electric motors, one in the front and one in the back. Now on the sides there are these optional 21-inch diamond cut alloy wheels in dual tone color, along with the Volvo badging in the middle, and also the regenerative system is also there. And there are these subtle lines on the arches, and if you notice there is this one more door out here which is for the charging. So this is the charging door for the battery, because as I mentioned this is a plug-in hybrid. So this XC60 comes with an 18.8 kilowatt hour battery, and that battery sits in the tunnel, so it does not consume extra bit of space. And the usable battery is 14.7 kilowatt hour, and that gives you a range of 58 kilometers. If you plug it to a wall charger at home, then also a charger is provided, including with this car, 120 volt and 240 volt. If you connect that, and based on the amperes, it can vary from like 3 hours, 5 hours and something around that range. But nonetheless, it's good to have a pure electric range also that you can drive within the city, and it becomes very efficient after that point of time, because combined in terms of the engine and the electric capacity, you can get a range of somewhere between 600 to 650 to even 700 kilometers. Yes, that's also possible. This body colored skirtings at the bottom cover the entire door frame till the bottom. When we come to these side mirrors, so these are the glossy black side mirrors. They are power foldable, power adjustable. They also have the blind spot warning on the inside, and also the turn lights on the edge, along with a camera, one of the cameras from the 360-degree camera system, glossy black surround around these windows, glossy black roof rails on the top, a panoramic sunroof. When we come to the doors, all 4 doors are keyless entry doors, and it's quite easier to use them too. There is also the Volvo badging on the door sills, which is an aluminium plate provided. Now this XC60 also comes with the optional air suspensions, and the best part about that is whenever you switch off the car would automatically lower down to reduce its height, so that it's just easier to get in and out of the car. And whenever you are driving in different driving modes, so there are 5 different driving modes on this, ranging from everyday hybrid mode to pure electric, and then there is also an off-road mode, and there is also the all-wheel drive. So if you go from hybrid to, let's say, off-road, the suspensions would actually lift up and you can visually see the car lifting up, and it has a lot of height after that. And then if you are in the hybrid mode and you switch off the car, then it would sit down, as I mentioned, and it's just more easier for the passengers to come in and out of this car, which is a very clever use of the air suspensions that are provided, along with the Olin dampers that are also given on this XC60 as a part of the Polestar upgrades. So this Ultra edition of the XC60 plug-in hybrid also comes with the Touring chassis and the Polestar optimization package, which is an optional extra. And what the Polestar optimization package does is that it maps the throttle in a way that it's a lot more responsive than the standard XC60, plus the gear changes are much more aggressive, so it utilizes higher RPMs in terms of the changing of the gear. So which is why there's a Polestar mode also on the inside. I'm going to show you how many different driving modes there are on this XC60 So continuing with the rear on this one, so there are these L-shaped LED lights. This is the full set of LED tail light cluster, turn signals, reverse lights, brake lights, fog lights, everything is completely in LED. There is also the rear wiper too, Volvo badging in chrome, XC60 badging in chrome, and here are the details, because this thing comes with the T8 engine, which is the turbocharged and the supercharged engine, along with the plug-in hybrid all-wheel drive and the Polestar Engineered badge that also comes with this. And at the bottom, glossy black plastic that goes from one end to the other, and then this sort of out here at the edge on both the sides, they are not exactly the exhaustives, which is a good thing because it doesn't look like that. It looks more like a design, because the actual exhaustives are mounted behind the bumper. Now in terms of the visibility, it's actually pretty decent. There is like taller visibility and not much hindrance in terms of the viewing of the lanes in the rear view glass. There's also a body colored spoiler provided, and underneath that there's also an LED brake light. Now there's also one convenience feature on this XC60 is to open the trunk door. So flick your leg and then open it, and it works very well, just like my previous car, which was the Mercedes E450. So you can click on the pop-up banner out here and you can watch the detailed review video of that too. Now there are metal scuff plates provided in the back and also on the bumper itself in the rear, so that you don't damage this paint job. And when the rear seats are folded up, you can put 22.4 cubic feet of luggage, and it's super even, like there's nothing that hinders it, and it also sits quite low, so it's much more easier to put your stuff in and out. But not just that, there are buttons provided on the right side, because this thing comes with the air suspension, so you can lower the car by pressing the button. Currently it's already in the lowermost setting, but if it isn't, then you can lower the car, and also you can increase the height of the car from here. So all that is possible from the back side too, which is like a convenience feature. Then there are these rubber mats provided in the back and also inside the cabin, which is a part of the winter package. So yeah, it's just much more easier to clean them. And underneath the trunk floor is the charger in the front, so that comes with 7-meter long cable, so it's just much more easier to plug this thing even if your plug point is quite far. So that's going to come in quite handy, and it works, as I said, 240 volts and 120 volts, so no problem with the voltage also. And it's an AC charger, because this XC60 comes with only AC charging. And behind that there is the tire repair kit, because there is no spare wheel, and the reason being that a lot of the space is consumed by the cylinders for the air compressor, and the air compressor itself is a bit noisy is what I've found, because if you switch off the car and you come out and then you hear it when the car is lowering, it's very loud sound. There's also netted storage on the left side along with a 12-volt power socket. There's also a trunk light in the trunk door and one more trunk light on the right side. There are tying points given on the floor itself. So the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, but there is also another door that's provided. So you fold down the handrest and then you open this door and you can access something from maybe the rear seats into the trunk. So the rear seats are foldable in a ratio of 60:40, and in order to fold them down you have to do it from the front. So press it and then fold it down, and headrests are also electronically foldable. And in order to fold them down from inside the infotainment screen, there's also one more option that's been given too. So you go into the infotainment screen, and then there is an option to fold down the headrest from the settings. You press that and they would fold down. So there are no rear passengers, then you can do that too to get a lot more visibility and make sure that those headrests don't hinder you with that. Now when the rear seats are completely folded down, you can put 63.3 cubic feet of luggage, and it's just very even, so there is no step or anything. So you can easily mount a lot of luggage in the back and put all your gears or whatever you want, and then utilize this space. And then once you're done, you can again swipe the leg and then let this electronically fold away. Now Volvos always have one of the best interior experience because they are truly luxurious, elegant, and they are also functional at the same time, and this XC60 gets the same treatment too. So on the dashboard there is soft touch material on the top face, and there's also dark color stitching, charcoal color stitching. Even on the door cards there is soft touch materials where you're going to be resting hands, that's Napa leather covered, and even on the bottom side there is soft touch material, so no normal plastic that's been used anywhere. On the steering, again Napa leather with the dark color stitching. On the sides there is just this normal plastic, but this plastic quality is just very good. It's so smooth and not rough. And on the side face out here there is kind of softer material. Even on the glove box door also there is softer material, and there is also this wood that's been given, and which is underneath the infotainment screen, and also on the driver side there are also mood lights provided. There are lights in the footwell too, and then there is this gear shifter, which is a crystal gear shifter by Orifers Sweden, and that is also illuminated, so at night when you put your hand on it, it's like glowing in the dark. And then even here in the center console there are these covers, so you can cover it if you want to store anything on the top, or if you want to cover bits that are kept underneath. So even that's been lined with the wood. And then out here also on the handrest there is leather material, and then these seats are made out of Napa leather. So everywhere there is good quality use of material. Now there are some of the things that are given on the inside of this infotainment screen that control the functions on this car. For example, if you want to switch off the adaptive air suspensions every single time, then you go into the driving, and then at the bottom you would find the air suspension on and off, so you can switch it on and off so that they would not rise and lower and do all of that stuff. And then control for easy entry and exit that I was mentioning about. And there's also the steering firmness that can be adjusted. Again, you go into the driving, and then you can adjust the steering feel firm or not. And this XC60 also comes with its own data package, so that's been provided for 4 years. So all of the maps and everything, the entire Google system is controlled using that. We're going to come to that too. Now let's begin with the driver's display. So there is a 12.3 inch digital driver's display, and on the left side there is the speedometer, and on the right side there is the power charge and also the gear that you are in, the position of the gears, and at the bottom more information. And in the middle there is straightforward maps or no maps if you want to, which is called as the Navi or the calm mode. So the calm mode, basically you press the button that is given on the right side, you press that and switch off those maps, or switch on the maps, and when you're doing the navigation it shows you on that driver's display. So it's that simple. And you press another button around these arrows on the right side, you press that button, and then you can see the trip computer, which is auto and manual, and you can reset them too. That's about it. That's how you use the driver's display. The whole point is to keep it less distracting, and I'm sure it does its job very well in that department. Now when we come to this steering wheel, this is a leather covered steering wheel with buttons given on either side, but it's a glossy buttons that are provided, so it might become a fingerprint magnet. And this steering wheel is adjustable, which is tilt and telescopic, and then you can lock it in place. Actually quite smoother operations, which is what I like. No paddle shifters or anything. And on the right side there are buttons given to change the driver's information and also the media controls, whereas on the left side there are buttons given for the adaptive cruise control that this XC60 comes with. When we come to the air conditioning controls, so the air conditioning controls are sitting inside this 9-inch infotainment screen at the bottom, and pretty much every Volvo comes with this entire exact setup with this 9-inch screen and the air conditioning controls sitting at the bottom. And the thing is, you have to take your eyes off to control this. That's my only concern. Otherwise, yes, it's quite simplified in terms of its operation. So you press this option in the middle to switch on the air conditioning. So the fan speed, you switch it on and then you set the levels, and at the bottom on both the sides there is a temperature control, so you get dual zone air conditioning system, and in the middle there is a link to sync the temperature for the driver and the passenger, and on top more controls, and in the middle there is the flow of air, so you select where you want the air to flow. And there's also the parking option, so whenever the car is parked you can start the preconditioning or the air purifications, and then you can even set the timers. But that's how you essentially use the air conditioning controls. Now the thing is that pretty much every single operation is controlled through this screen, and only a single function can be operated at any point of time, and that's a bit of a problem because the air conditioning controls you can call at any point of time, but if you are using the reversing camera, which is a 360-degree camera, then the air conditioning controls cannot be used. So at that point, yeah, it won't be functioning. So that's the only thing of having just, you know, at any point having only single function working on that screen. So let's begin with this infotainment screen. This is a 9-inch infotainment screen provided. There are also buttons provided at the bottom of the infotainment screen with this volume dial also, and this volume dial is a bit loose, and if you hear, yeah, there's also a button given on this infotainment screen to come out of any menu options that you are inside. And this infotainment system is powered by Google's Android operating system, so it makes things slightly more easier to operate this thing. Think of it like a tablet that's been given on this XC60. So the main screen comes with these 4 widgets, and on the top side there is the map option, which can also change if you have different media options that you've interacted with. So let's say if you are using YouTube, which is inbuilt inside this, then that will show there. Then the next option is the media. So in terms of the connectivity, you can connect to this infotainment system using Bluetooth, USB, and there is also wired Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. The next option is the Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Then the car status, you go inside and you can see the tire pressure and everything, the car status also, and the service history. Then you can go into the menu options by clicking on the bottom left side, and then wider options are visible, which is the maps, YouTube, messages, driving journal, and Waze. Then Bluetooth, media player, radio, then Sirius XM, phone, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Play Store, and owner's manual. So using the Play Store and the internet package provided, you can download apps onto this system also. Then the next option is the 360-degree camera. Next to that, you press that and then you can get into this 360. So as I said, this 360 also at any point shows you only one view at the bottom. If you want to switch to 360, you press the 360 button and it occupies the entire screen. But it would have been easier if the 360 was occupying at the top, like if you select any view and then the 360 goes on top. So that's not wasted in terms of the screen usage on the top side. But yeah, that's the thing. And the detailed settings are on the bottom right corner. So the first option is the driving, where you will find your driving mode. So there are 5 different driving modes. Hybrid, which is for everyday use, so optimize efficiency and everything. Then there is the Polestar, so think of it like the more sporty variant, which is where the Polestar optimization comes in. Then the pure, which is when the batteries are charged fully, then you can put it into pure. Then off-road, and that's when the air suspensions would lift. And then the constant all-wheel drive. Then the always start in drive mode pure. So if there is the battery range available, then it would start always in the pure mode. Then there is also the options to set the battery usage from auto. You can hold the charge, or you can charge the batteries also. So the engine would act as a generator and put back kilometers into the battery, which is going to come in quite handy when you drive this car within the city. Then the pilot assist, safety systems, then the driving dynamics, creep, which is like the low range mode, then the steering wheel, air suspensions, go back, then the sound. So you get Bowers and Wilkins surround sound system, which is an optional extra, but it's well worth it because it sounds quite amazing on the inside. So that's one of the optional extras, and then you can select different profiles, sound profiles. Then connectivity, you can switch on the data from here. Then the profiles, you can add another profile, and then there is also a Volvo Cars app, so you can download the app and control different settings on the car, unlock, lock the car, switch on the car remote and all of that. Then the privacy settings, Google, and the systems, where you can change date, time, and all of the units and everything, and the software updates and everything. You can even slide down from the top to see the notifications, and that's how you use this infotainment screen, which is a 9-inch screen on this XC60. It's fairly easy, but yes, as I said, it's more singular function, so at any point only single function can be done on this screen. When we come to the charging, so there are two USB Type-C ports that are given underneath this armrest, and there are two more USB Type-C ports that are given for the rear passengers, and there's also one 12-volt 120-watt power socket that is given for the front passenger. Now on this XC60 there are no extendable sun visor, but there is also the SOS emergency button, so if there's an emergency you can press that and coordinates would be sent. And it also comes with the panoramic sun roof, and there is like a slider button to that, so it's like a touch button. So a lot of the buttons out here are mostly touch buttons. The sunroof opens quite big that way, so days like this when the spring has finally arrived and it's about 13 degrees right now, so it's gonna come in quite handy to open the roof and enjoy the fresh air and some sun on the inside. Now there's also this start engine button that sits here in the center console, and it's like a twisty dial. Now when we come to the storage, so in the door cards you can put 1.5 liter worth of bottle and some more storage in the back, and even the door cards are lined at the bottom with like the velvety lining, and there is more storage in this center console. In the front you can put the car keys, and then there is this 12-volt power socket where you can put your phones, and there are two flexible cup holders. There's this small storage, again you can put your phones and wallets, that's about it. And this huge glove box, again lined with this velvety material. Same goes for the passenger side also. And in the rear door cards there's not much storage because you can put about 0.5 liter worth of bottle, and there are also two flexible cup holders that are given in the center armrest. There's also another clip that's been provided to put your parking tickets. Now this XC60 also comes with the heads-up display, and it's not too big, but yes, it's just about the right size so that it's not in your eye all the time. And in order to change the heads-up display, you have to go from the infotainment screen and then you go into the controls, and then at the bottom you would notice the heads-up display that you can switch on and off, and the heads-up display position and brightness, and the heads-up display rotation. So all that you can change, but not the actual content, because the content is fixed. You can see the speed limit, the speedometer, digital one, and also the navigation when you are navigating to some places, then that's also shown on that heads-up display. So quite straightforward in that department. Now when we come to these seats, so these are the Napa leather seats, black ones. They are perforated seats because they are the heated and the cooled seats, and the buttons are provided again next to this air conditioning control. So on either side there are buttons provided to switch on the heater or the ventilated seat options on either side too, and there is also the option to start the heated steering wheel, and then there are 3 stages to that, but again it's a little layered, so you have to go inside the screen and then switch on the heated or the ventilated options. Now When we come to these seats, as I said, the seats themselves are very soft and comfortable. They are more on the sporty side, but the seats, they do a lot of things because they are like adjustable in so many different ways. And there's also this Swedish flag that is given on the passenger side seat, and not just that, there's another Swedish flag that's given on the dashboard itself on the right side. So this chrome strip that goes so at the edge, that is that flag. So yeah, some neat touches that are given here and there too, in terms of mentioning that it's a Swedish brand. And then are the slimmer headrests, which are on the firmer side. They also come with the optional massage seat options, which are for the driver and the passenger side seat, that this car also comes with, which is an optional extra. And underneath my thigh, there is ample of support thanks to the extension of these seats. That's also possible. And in terms of the backrest and the side walls, yeah, that's also quite good. And then even that can be adjusted in terms of the bolstering of the side support. And at the bottom, yes, you are sitting quite comfortably on the inside of these seats. Now in terms of the adjustment, all the adjustments are given on the side of the seat. So the driver side seat is 8-way electronically adjustable and 4-way lumbar adjustment. Same goes for the passenger. And not just that, there is like multiple different options. So there is like a dial given on the side of the seats. You press that and then it shows you on the infotainment screen, so you can start the massage options. So there are like so many different massage options. It's also touch options, then you can touch and select whatever you want. So for 5 different combined options, programs. And then there is the intensity and speed options too. Then the seats themselves can be adjusted too from here, the side bolster and everything, and then the back lumbar adjustment, and then the extension of these seats, again that's also electronically adjustable, so you can adjust them too. And then it shows you that you have to use the knob to adjust these seats, and then the buttons provided on them to make them go forward or backward. But yes, that's how you control the seats on this. And as I said, the driver and the passenger side seats are both the massage seats. Now even though this is a small SUV, but there is an impressive amount of space for the rear passengers. Now in terms of the knee room, there is a little more than half palm worth of knee room, and the seats are also curved, the driver and the passenger side seat, so that gives me extra bit of knee room. The headroom is also plentiful, I would say. Someone above 6 feet 2 inches will then start brushing their heads, but it's still not too bad. And at the same time, I'm not sitting like low down into these seats like a lot of SUVs, so as to increase the headroom. And also if you notice my legs, they have a good amount of support underneath my thigh, which is again quite difficult. So these are not like exactly bench type of seats, but they are also actually a little at an angle, so it gives you that extra bit of support. And the reason being that the batteries are packed inside this center tunnel, and which is why it does not consume the floor space, and the floor does not have to be raised up. There's also space to slide my legs under the seat also, so during the longer journeys I can get so much of support, and also I can stretch my legs. So all that is possible while being a small SUV. Now in the rear, there is the same Napa leather black color seats. They are not the perforated seats, but they are quite comfortable and they offer the same level of comfort like the front seats. They also have the white color stitching just like the front seats on the edge and also in the back. And the backrest is also quite soft, and so is the bottom rest too. And the backrest is slightly reclined, so that gives me good amount of angle. The only thing is that the windows, I've found them to be slimmer, but they are taller, so that offers like good amount of view. But this pillar sits right in my eyesight when I am like sort of resting my head against these headrests. So these headrests are also quite slim, as you've seen, like these are foldable too electronically, and there's a middle headrest too that slides up, and there is also the handrest. And if you notice, there are no cup holders because they are the foldable ones, so you press that and then they are presented to you. And if you don't want to use them, then you can just fold them away and just utilize this entire handrest and at the right position, and it's not like too low or too high up. And this whole thing that the foldable cup holders. Yeah, that makes it quite usable handrest too, and then you can open this door and access the trunk also. Now in terms of the door card quality, again soft touch materials even in the rear too, where you're going to be resting hands. That is Napa leather with a white color stitching. At the bottom, again soft touch material, and there's also a small amount of tunnel here, but that also packs the battery. And if I sit in the middle seat, now the middle seat actually for once is pretty comfortable, and there's also like a dedicated seat area that's given in the middle seat, although just that the backrest is slightly on the harder side due to the fact that there is a handrest that's been given. But the seats on either side are the heated seats, and the buttons are given out here in the center console. And if you're wondering if there are any vents, then they are given on this pillar on either side, so those vents can be adjusted, but at least that's good because they are sitting closer to the passenger and not in like the center tunnel where they are like sitting quite on the lower side. But this way you can have it on your body itself or on your face because it's at a good height too. There is also the netted storage in both the driver and the passenger side seat, and apart from that there is about half a liter worth of bottle that you can store in the door cards. But overall I find the rear space to be very functional and at the same time very comfortable, living up to its luxury standards. So this XC60 plug-in hybrid is powered by a T8 engine, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbocharged as well as supercharged engine, and clubbed with that are 2 electric motors, one in the front and one in the back. Now the total output from this entire system is 455 horsepower, whereas in terms of the torque it's 523 pound-feet of torque. And individual breakup in terms of the power, so the 455, the engine produces about 312 horsepower, whereas 143 horsepower comes from the motors. And in terms of the torque, out of the 523, 295 pound-feet of torque comes from the engine, whereas the rest of it, which is 228 pound-feet of torque, comes from electric motors up to 3850 rpm, and the peak torque for the engine comes in at 3000 rpm. So that's where you see where it fills the gap from 0 to 3850 rpm. That's where it helps. So in terms of the overall package, this entire package of engine and electric motors is clubbed to an 8-speed automatic transmission. So there is a lot going on underneath in terms of the power delivery and how cleverly it manages. Now I've found that this thing is pretty smooth for day-to-day uses. It's very clever also is what I want to focus, because leave the system in just the hybrid mode, don't bother with anything else, and it cleverly calculates for everyday use where the power needs to go, when electric needs to be switched on, and automatically it's going to give you a lot of range. So about 700 for sure so far that I've been driving. I've driven this car for about 200 kilometers and it's still showing me a range of 420, but I still feel that the range is very gently dropping down. So when I picked up this car, it was showing me 730 kilometers. So that's quite possible in terms of getting a lot of range. Just leave this car into its own and just let it figure out. But otherwise, if you still want to have some sportiness also, then there is a Polestar mode too. Then there's also a pure electric mode also, and there is an off-road mode too. And there is the all-wheel drive constant. So this XC60 also comes with the all-wheel drive system. Now in terms of the power delivery, I found that to be quite smooth. The motors fill in the gap at lower end quite well. It's just that the engine sometimes in terms of its functioning feels a little crude, and yeah, it takes a little while to respond, even though there is a slight amount of supercharging also, but yet it still feels a little laid back. It's just good that electric motors actually help it to, charge up all the time from the moment you press it, because if I press, yeah, you see those electric motors first kick in and then the engine kicked in. So if I show you again, and then you see now the engine kicks in. So it's a combination of both, but it's two-step, and then you can feel that too. And the 8 gears that are given, out of which 6 gears are for the regular use, whereas the last 2 gears are for the overdrive. So basically, if you are going to be cruising, then that 7th and the 8th gear is used for that. But as a whole package, it's brilliantly done. It's very clever, and I love how it responds, especially when you put it in the Polestar mode. So let me just do that, because it's a bit of a complicated process. You have to go from the screen driving and then Polestar, and now it goes to higher RPMs. That's the whole point of the Polestar optimization, because it makes the gear shifts aggressive and also the throttle response sharp, and suddenly these 455 horsepowers are quite evident on this. But at the same time, it also consumes a lot of fuel. Now, in terms of the fuel efficiency, when I've been driving this thing on hybrid, mix of both worlds, then the combined efficiency I've managed to get at best between 5.2 to 5.5 liters per 100 kilometers, and within the city I've managed to get around like 9.5 to 10 liters per 100 kilometers when there is heavy traffic. Whereas the claim figures are 8.5 liters for all, like city, highway, combine everything, which I don't know why. But yeah, these are the realistic figures, and the range is about 700 kilometers, let's say, and there's 71 liters of fuel tank capacity on this XC60. So this thing can go long distances. That's not going to be a problem. Now, when we come to the suspensions, so there are air suspensions that are provided, and they absorb very well clubbed with these Olin dampers, and that's where again the Polestar engineering comes in, that makes sure that you have contact at all point of time, and the roll is also quite controlled in terms of that. So overall, I'm happy with the suspensions because they absorb the bumps very well. For day-to-day use, it's just very comfortable, and yet at the same time, if you want to have a little bit of thrill also, then that's also quite possible. Now, in terms of the all-wheel drive, the motors and the entire system cleverly powers all the 4 wheels quite well. Now, it's quite sunny, and also this car sits on the winter tires still, which is why it's giving that extra bit of cushion also, but it's still giving good amount of grip at all point of time. And it's I just feel that it's sometimes like front bias a little bit more towards that, which is why there is a constant all-wheel drive also that's been offered as an option for switching to that mode too. But yeah, predominantly maybe it is working as a front wheel drive all the time. Now, when we come to the steering, so the steering has a light feel, but then you can change the firmness by going into the settings and then into the driving, and then change it into the firm steering setup. But yeah, the steering response is pretty good. There is good feedback, and I like how it's calibrated, and yeah, it gives you a sense of the road surface and everything. Now, I've just found that some of the times the ride quality can still become a bit harsh, although these are air suspensions and then they do all the clever sort of bits and all the time. But still, I've been going through some heavy bumps. Now, at lower speeds they absorb the bumps very well, but at higher speeds I found them to be taking a little longer to absorb them and then maintain that composed balance. Now, not to forget that also this XC60 comes with the touring chassis, but the chassis itself that is coming with this, that's brilliantly done because it absorbs and helps with the overall performance of this car too. Now, when we come to the brakes, so there are 4 disc brakes on this, and the performance is pretty good for daily use. The brakes are sharp and they have good progressive pedal setup also. And if you change the gear go from the mode D to B, which is at first you may think what's going on, but it's more like a one pedal drive that is possible after that if you put this thing using the gear shifter into that B mode, and then there's aggressive bit of charging. Now, in terms of the charging, so there is the generation system also, and that's where this thing helps, because this thing puts cleverly so much of energy back into the system, and that's where it cleverly manages also to extend your range and use the electric power at lower speeds, and also assist when going at higher speeds or accelerating like this. Yeah, it can do that too, as you saw. So yes, the regenerative system is also very good, but then you can even charge this car at home or outside whenever you are, and yes, put that extra bit of 58 kilometers of range to add that to that 18.8 kilowatt hour battery pack. Otherwise, as I said, there is also the home charging adapter that's been provided too. Now when we come to the noise and the vibrations, so the noise, I've only found that the engine can sound a bit crude, that's about it, but otherwise the tire noise, there is not much, and the windows are double glazed, so they are keeping the sound all outside and keeping you insulated from the outside world. Now when we come to the safety systems, there are 7 airbags, 2 for the front driver and the passenger, 2 side airbags again for the driver and the passenger, 2 curtain airbags provided too in the pillars, and there is also 1 driver's knee airbag provided too. Then there are child isofix points in both the rear seats. Then there is a 360-degree camera system. The output is really good. It's just that, as I mentioned, that it would have been better if both the views were shown at the same time and you don't have to select individually, and then yeah, you are just restricted to one view at a time. So yeah, that would have been helpful. Then there is the lane keep assist, lane departure warning, then the blind spot warning, the adaptive cruise control, and it's one of the most safest cars too. It's got 5-star ratings in terms of the safety systems too. Then there is the ABS, tire pressure monitoring system, EBD, then the traction control. So yes, in all Volvo sense, it's very safe, and as I said, it's also comes with the 5-star rating for being one of the most safest cars. Now when we come to the pricing, so the base variant, which is the core, starts from $63,500 approximately, whereas this Ultra with everything added in terms of the extra optional extras comes in at $93,000 approximately, $93,100 approximately. I'm going to put the exact pricing. Whereas the Polestar edition, which is the topmost, comes in at $95,000. Now the reason Ultra is expensive, it usually comes in at around $83,000, but just the optional extras have been added and then it comes to this price. Otherwise, yeah, the Polestar is the one that comes in at 95,000 Canadian dollars approximately. But yeah, in terms of the price, I see the Polestar is slightly on the higher side, which is why if you don't want all of that, then the core model is the one to go for, because it still comes with the hybrid setup, all-wheel drive, all of it, just that doesn't come with extra bit of the Polestar magic underneath and not the same chassis and stuff, but otherwise it comes with the same tech and everything. So I don't see the point of investing into additional bit of the Polestar version. But otherwise, if you want a fully decked up one, then yes, the Polestar variant is the one, or even this Ultra one is gonna be just an amazing car for daily use, because the looks are the Volvo-ish one, which I really like, the Scandinavian looks, whereas the luxury offered on this is ample for daily use. This car is going to be keeping you very comfortable for longer journeys, clubbed with these optional massage seats. It's going to be very, very comfortable, but I do suggest that you have the air suspensions and also these massage seats, because the combination of them makes this car a very daily usable one for sure. Anyways, that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure to press the thumbs up button if you like this video. I shall see you in the next one. Bye bye, take care and drive safe.